Hello, my beautiful friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to Behind the Magic, a podcast from Aradia's Closet, where we dive deeper into the components of magic. I'm Tanya, your host. I have all kinds of things planned for you, book reviews, how-tos, and interviews with some really amazing people. So if you want to gain a little more perspective on magic, tune in each week for more. Today, I'm with my good friend Stephen. We're diving deep into his library, 10 books at a time. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, how you doing?
I am fantastic. It was Stephen's birthday yesterday, you guys. Happy birthday, Stephen.
Cheers.
It is also H.P. Lovecraft's birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
And happy birthday to all you other Leos out there. I seem to surround myself with them. My mom's a Leo. Okay, so diving into the first book, say this for me, please.
Saducismus Triumphatus.
Saducismus Triumphatus.
Or otherwise the Triumph of the Sadducees. It's a biblical reference.
Okay. Full and plain evidence concerning witches and apparitions from 1689 by Joseph Glanville. This is a facsimile or reproduction with introduction by Coleman O. Parsons from Gainesville, Florida. Scholars, Facsimile and Reprints, 1966. So this is a 1966 printing of a 1689 book.
Right. Saducismus Triumphatus is a book you're going to run across if you dive deeply into the history of witchcraft. Glanville was writing at a time where suspicions that the reality of witchcraft were based on false notions was becoming more and more commonplace. I believe Reginald Scott, I think it's Reginald Scott, had written A Discovery of Witchcraft, in which he challenged the notion that witches were real, apparitions were real, any of that stuff. And there were a few other authors too along the line that had that idea too. And this was a book that came out in support of all of the idea that witches did in fact exist. They did have converse with the devil, etc., etc., etc. And Glanville lists some interesting folklore evidence that happened. He mentions the drummer of Tedworth. There was a village somewhere in England that was haunted by something called the spirit of the drummer of Tedworth. What did I just say? Tedworth. At any rate, it was a poltergeist, and it put up quite a dramatic sound. People came from miles around to hear this phenomena. It was just invisible, and it was a drummer. It just drummed loudly.
Weird.
In the middle of the day, the middle of the night, whatever. But that was one of the stories that Joseph Glanville mentions in this book. The book is laid out exactly like it was printed in the 1600s. It's got the typeface. It's written in the original English. It's a very collectible book. I'm glad I own it. I am. It's illustrated too. I think that if you come across it, you'll find illustrations very nice.
It's
very
a fun book with all the typefaces and diagrams.
Yeah, right. And all the stories. It's a little thick book though, isn't it?
It is.
It is thick. So I never read the whole thing.
Right. It's a book for the library.
It's a book for the library. It's a collectible.
Okay. Our next book is The Pocket Idiot's Guide to Potions. Enchanting Recipes for Dozens of Magical Brews, written by Carrie Connor. And this is published by the Penguin Group in I can't find the year. Okay, so this was published by the Penguin Group.
Very good. It's another small guide. I remember purchasing this. I don't remember reading it entirely. I think that didn't get very, very far into it. But if you run across it, it's good. Oil infusions, working with carrier oils, that sort of thing. I don't think that the recipes are particularly traditional. I much prefer hoodoo versions of my conditioned oils. But yeah, own it.
Yeah, I think, yes, if you want to go traditional with your hoodoo oils, you'll go with Lucky Mojo.
Mm-hmm. Catherine Ironwood's.
Yes, but this would be just fun for trying recipes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much what I did with it. I might have tried a few recipes and I was like,
Okay, so our next book, Urban Voodoo, A Beginner's Guide to Afro-Caribbean Magic. This is by S. Jason Black and Christopher S. Hyatt, Ph.D. And this was put out by New Falcon Publications in 1995.
Yes, S. Jason Black and Christopher S. Hyatt were two writers that often worked together, and they delved deeply into the occult and magical arts. And what my memories of this, I read it several years ago, it was good. I really did enjoy this book. But it's all their experiences with voodoo, metaphorical and otherwise.
Metaphorical and otherwise. Can you tell readily which is which?
Well, for the most part, he uses a lot of metaphor in this book about and describes a lot of left-wing politics, political stuff. So you have to kind of read between the lines to understand what he's talking about. But I remember this being a very good book, well worth a read. One of those books I actually sat down and read the whole darn thing, so that's impressive.
We should start a tally of the books that you've actually read, cover to cover.
Well, the library, for everybody out there, the library is a reference library. So it's not necessary to read the entire dictionary of the occult or something like that.
Right.
It's a reference stuff.
Right. Like I said, it's going to be challenging organizing this into some kind of categories beyond the alphabetical by author or alphabetical by title. Then we got to break it down into categories and subcategories. And what if it fits into 2 categories or 3? So.
Meanwhile, it's a lot of fun. 10 of them at a time.
10 at a time.
Yep.
So our next book, Spirits of the Fire, and this is by Jacques D. Hawkins and illustrated by Jeremy Scott.
I think that's pronounced Jackie Hawkins.
J-A-Q. Jack or Jacques.
Yeah. Jacques D. Hawkins?
I'll have to look that up.
Yes. She wrote 4 of these.
Ah, so it's a girl.
It's a woman.
She wrote this one in 1999.
Yeah, I bought these. I actually bought these in one of our old stomping grounds, maybe the Mystic Library or something like that.
The Mystic
What was that?
Cottage.
Mystic Cottage.
Yeah.
That was one, but you surely remember the Mystic.
The Mystic Cottage, the Lunar Library.
The Lunar Library, yeah.
And before that, the Silver Cord.
Yeah.
That was way back in the day.
Where's that one that was out on Gulf Beach Highway that we worked out from time to time?
That was, well, you said that before, but I do not remember that one.
I do. We thought, yeah, this is an overview, a very good overview of, takes one element at a time, fire, air, water, air, and dives deep, really does. I remember this being a very good book. I'm glad I have it, and I'm glad I read it. I don't know if I have the other. I think I only have maybe 2 or 3, though. I think that store went out of business.
Yeah?
Yeah, after a while.
Yeah.
I never wound up with the others. What's this? It's a bookmark. I thought I found the answer to that. Yeah, there it is.
Inspirations off of Plantation Road.
Yeah. I remember that now. It was mostly a kind of new age place.
I never went in there.
Really?
Really?
It was boring as hell. So.
Oh, well, maybe that's why.
So yeah, it had some things and everything, but I couldn't imagine an actual worker, someone who contracts for magic and that sort of thing. I mean, it'd be a quick stop and you're out, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, good book. There are 3 of them after that.
Right. Thank goodness that we have many to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Our next book, The Secret of the Golden Flower. This is a Chinese book of life translated by Richard Willem, commentary by C.G. Young. This says here, Causeway, a bridge from here to there. It's a little inscription.
Causeway was a subsidiary of University Books, I'm pretty sure, because they had many of the similar titles. They published a lot of the great esoteric works of late 19th century, the 20th century, and of course they had their versions of the Key of Solomon and Aleister Crowley's, some of Aleister Crowley's work. So they were noted occult publisher.
Right. So this is published by Causeway Books. This is an unabridged edition of the original published version, 1931.
Which is very good because this is hard stuff. This really is. It's basically, from what I remember reading about, I bought this when I was in high school in the 1970s. Wow. So yeah, I got, it's basically a book of Chinese alchemy. You get a lot of spiritual metaphor, that sort of thing. You really have to be able to read between the lines of this, and you really have to be paying attention because there's some very, very deep stuff in here. Of course, C.G. Young was the founder of modern psychology, one of the founders of modern psychology, and his is a great introduction. The Golden Flower is, to me, what I assume to be the HGA, or the Holy Guardian Angel, the higher self, that is peeled away through certain practices of magic and alchemy. So yeah, that's what I was into in 1974.
Chinese magic and alchemy.
Yeah, I couldn't have a decent conversation with anyone.
I have that problem today.
I know. It's a problem to have, right? Really? People look at you like, what in the hell is she talking about?
Right. I think my next video is going to be what I mean when I say I'm a witch.
All right.
because everyone has their own idea of what a witch is.
What their own definition is.
Right, what their definition is, how much experience they've had with people of the craft.
Hey, you got a lot of gatekeepers out there with that too. Oh, you can't be a witch because
Oh, right, yeah.
Whatever.
There are fundamentalists everywhere, including in witchcraft, I
right?
swear. So our next book, Noted Witnesses for Psychic Occurrences. And this was written by Walter Franklin Prince. And it's got a bunch of different people that he talks about in here, including Susan B. Anthony. And this book was put out by University Books in 1963.
You'll note that I talk a lot about university books. On the spine of university books, these books were often found on the discount tables at local bookstores because, well, not everybody is into the Library of Mystic Arts. But they're really good books. I'm glad I own a lot of them because they published the A.E. Waite stuff back in the 60s and 70s too. And some else, Crowley, I believe.
Nice.
But this particular book is a collection of noted people who have had profoundly moving spiritual experiences. They've experienced hauntings, some sorts of psychic occurrences, that sort of thing. Read it a long time ago, but these are real stories from real people that sat down with the author and told their stories. Good book. If you're a writer, it's an excellent reference if you want to come up with some really ghostly things.
Oh, yes. I imagine.
That's its chief value, really.
Okay, next book, A Razor for a Goat. This book is about problems in the history of witchcraft and diabolism, written by Elliot Rose. This is a discussion of certain problems in the history of witchcraft and diabolism. And this is put out by the University of Toronto Press in 1989.
Very good. The razor that Mr. Rose is referring to is Occam's razor.
Oh.
And Occam's razor was a kind of way of cutting away all the nonsense to get to at least the kernel of truth. Okay, so that's what he's doing here in A Razor for a Goat. He's taking the history of witchcraft and diabolism and slicing away until he can make some sense of it, because it's a jumbled history. If you've read anywhere decently to any extent about the history of witchcraft and magic, you know that it's very, very difficult sometimes to ascertain the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Of course, Margaret Murray was infamous for this sort of thing with her books on witchcraft and the idea that an organized witch cult continued throughout the Middle Ages and is still around in modern day. There were some serious problems with Margaret Murray's work. I appreciate her work, and of course I read it when I was a teenager. The Witch Cult in Western Europe, etc.
Good books.
Good books. What was the one about the god? Oh, what? You think I'd know that. Anyway, I had that one about the witch god. It was very, very good. But yeah, he dissects a lot of the stories about witchcraft and that sort of thing. It gets down to the nitty gritty, what we can believe, what we should question, etc., etc. It's in good condition. That's because I didn't read it twice. No lottery ticket. Loser.
Yeah, right. It makes a good bookmark, so you win.
All right. Exactly.
Okay, our next book, The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need, put out by Joanne Martin Woolfolk. This book has sold over 600,000 copies. I have a copy of this in hardcover, actually.
Do you?
It was put up by...
I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it's put out by Taylor Trade Publishing in 2006. This particular version, the trade paperback.
God of the Witches. Margaret Murray, right? God of the Witches.
Yes, God of the Witches.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, folks. Yes, this is very good, very good. It's comes with an interactive CD-ROM. I wonder if it's still in here. Let's see. Oh, there's some pages. I don't like that. A lot of these books have been in storage for quite a minute, at least 2 years or so. But this was very, very good. It was very easy to cast a horoscope. It was easy to understand. I've never been fond. Oh, wow, look at that. There's the CD-ROM. How about that? We can still use this.
Awesome. I'm going to try that out.
Absolutely. Did you get a CD-ROM with your hardcover?
No. Mine's a first
more.
edition. They didn't have CD-ROM.
Excuse me. All right. But yes, this is very good. Even a rank amateur like myself can read it and understand it, and it will capture your attention. I enjoyed working on this book. Did I ever tell you about the time I ran into an actual, real astrologer?
No.
this woman came in and she had a little boy with her. She wanted the little boy's haircut, and he was about 7 or 8, something like that. And I was talking to her and cutting the kid's hair and that sort of thing. And she starts just reading my psychic emails. The best way I can describe it,
Huh.
She goes, "You were born in late July." I'm thinking more like late August. Am I right? And I looked at her and I said, "Yes, that's true." And she goes, "People think of you as arrogant, but you don't understand why they do that." Oh, that's exactly right. And she's just reading me, girl. I mean, just going down it, And I'm like, where is this coming from? And I used to have this little story about. Yes, I was born here in this seaside town, and it's ironic because I can't swim, I don't tan,
No, definitely not.
and I don't do sunshine a great deal of it, anyway.
Vampire.
Right, and that woman said, "Yeah, you that doesn't surprise me because cats don't like water." And I'm like, "Cats?" And she goes, "Yeah, Leos. You're a Leo, aren't you?" And I go, "Yes, I am." "How did you know that?" And the kid perked up and he goes, "My mother's an astronomer." And she corrects him and says, "No, son, your mother's an astrologer." I looked at this woman and said, "A damn good one too."
Yes, sounds
She
like
says,
it.
and she was a working astrologer.
Very nice.
She had ads and papers and everything like this, and she charged a good deal of money for the time. But I thought to myself, it's well worth it. It would be well worth it for this woman to cast my horoscope. She was good. It's one of the most startling, unsettling occult experiences I've ever had. And I've had a lot of them. Believe me, I know you have too.
Yes, I've had some interesting encounters. Let me tell you what.
All right.
I was working in customer service one time, and this old couple came up, and I was assisting them, and the gentleman says, he grabs my arm, and he looks at my arm, and he looks at me, and he says, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something to the effect of, "You can see things." It took me a moment. I'm like, yes. Wow. I said yes. And then he just went on to tell me all about myself and my family and my Native American, all these things. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yeah. And his wife looked at me and she said, he just knows things. I was like,
I guess so.
Okay.
How about that?
The older Caucasian couple. It was just really.
Right.
And it was unsettling in a way. It was so random and spot on.
I know.
Just spot on. And unexpected.
You meet those kinds of folks.
It's like Loki incarnate,
Yeah, you meet those kind of folks every once in a while that just step right out of the ethereal spirit, and just name it. Yes, own it.
It's crazy. Right? I have lots of stories like that, though. Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, our next book, Witches and Warlocks, Tales of Black Magic, Old and New. This is selected by Marvin Kay and put out by Guild America Books in 1989.
Yeah, all right. This is a book that I bought off of a discount shelf, no doubt about that, because it doesn't have a archival plastic cover on it, so I didn't. If there's no broad art on it, you know what I'm talking about when I say broad art?
No.
It's that plastic film that you encase a book cover in.
Yes.
Okay, I only use those on books that I absolutely positively cherish. This wasn't one of them. The book's in good condition, and I enjoyed the collection of basically a lot of ghost stories, that sort of thing. There's a Russian folktale called Valalisa and the Witch. That's nice. Nice collection. I read several of them. I don't think I read the whole bunch of them though. And again, this is kind of a reference book for writers, artists. You can read this stuff and probably become inspired to write something after you read this. Of course, we don't want to plagiarize anybody, but
inspiring.
It's inspiring. Yeah, it's an inspiring collection of great old folk tales.
It has a really pretty dust jacket.
Yeah, Witches and Warlocks. Very nice.
Okay, so...
Here's our boy.
Yes, again, we'll find lots of it, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Supernatural horror in literature, Howard Phillips Lovecraft, with a new introduction by E.F. Blyer. This is copyright 1973 by Dover Publications.
Yep. And this is H.P. Lovecraft's book about horror. Right? What he describes as horror stories. The early Gothic novel, he talks about that. see what he's got in the table of contents here. But this is his book. It's sort of like Stephen King's Danse Macabre. It's an analysis of what makes good horror. You know, he's got references in here to Edgar Allan Poe, the weird tradition in America, the weird tradition in the British Isles, the early Gothic novel, the Gothic romance. All good stuff. And he explains what it is. And if you're into H.P. Lovecraft, you should definitely read this book because it's very, very good.
I'll have it for your collection.
1973.
Another book with a
I wonder if I actually bought that in 73 or bought it off a bargain table. It looks like I may have bought it off a bargain table.
And it was $1.50.
Oh, yeah, very, very good.
$1.50.
Yeah, whoever read that wanted to get rid of it quick. I don't blame them. It's H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, goodness.
For those of you who haven't read H.P. Lovecraft, many of us that have read Lovecraft experience a very, very strange phenomena where we begin to have waking horror dreams. And they're quite unsettling. Mm. I had them when I was a teenager after reading HP, and that's why a lot of people think, particularly witches and magicians, who somewhere down the line wind up reading H.P. Lovecraft. But H.P. tapped into a dark, malevolent universe.
Really definitely.
Really did. And sometimes when you read H.P. Lovecraft, it's not like H.P. was a great writer. You know, some of his stuff. It's what he wrote about. It's this idea of cosmic horror.
Right.
That we're alone in the universe, in a dark and malevolent universe, or an indifferent universe.
Yeah.
Doesn't care anything about it. There's no God in HP's universe. There are only beings, good, bad, or indifferent. And sometimes they will visit you.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No, we don't want that.
No, we don't.
Not at all.
We'll be burning some sage in the house tonight before we go to bed, right?
Definitely.
Probably.
You know, just the other day, I was at Books A Million, and they had a little plushy stuffed Cthulhu.
You're kidding me.
I'm kidding you not.
Oh,
it
my
was black
gosh.
with purple accents, and it had the cutest eyes. I wanted it so bad, but I was like, you do not need a Cthulhu plushie.
No. I know. It's very, very tempting.
Very tempting.
Yeah, because you don't come across those kinds of things.
And there was only one.
Oh, you should have bought it.
I know. Yeah. But but I should have bought it. Never see it again.
No. That's the way that goes.
It's one of those things where I'm like, no, it's a thing. You don't need things. Life isn't about things.
Yes, we're going to have a big, big discussion on things. There's a lot of things here.
And stuff.
Like my library.
Yes, and we have to make room for the things that are important.
Right.
By not filling it up with plushies.
There have been some very wise words about living in a most economical manner. Not having a lot of stuff.
Yes.
That sort of thing. What do they call these people? Minimalists.
Yeah. And that's what I'm striving towards, because, and one of my main...
Well, I'm a bad influence.
Well, you and I are two peas in a pod. I work hard, though, at fighting my demons.
I know. Right?
But I tell you, I don't like to clean, and so I feel if I don't have it, I don't have to clean it.
Right, that reminds me of walking upon two older women in the mall years ago, and in the mall they were having like an antique show, curio show, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And these two old women were standing over this object, which clearly had captured their imagination. And then one of them just turned and looked at the other and said, "Hey, just be one more damn thing to collect dust."
Yes.
They shook their heads and walked off. No sale.
Dust collector. Right. That's what they call them. Dust collectors.
Dust collectors.
I call them tchotchkes.
Chotskis. Yeah, I like that. Sounds Russian.
I'm going to have to look that up. It may very well be.
That or it's Yiddish.
And on that note, we are done with our 10 books for the evening.
Very good.
Thank you for joining me, sharing your stories with me, Stephen.
No problem. I enjoy it.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Tune in next week for more.